All right, folks. So welcome back to the series on creating a horror animatronic character. Um, so in the previous videos, we've set up our reference images. We've started modeling the torso and the upper arm. So in this video, we are going to try to do this shoulder here. We may try a couple different things, see what works out. But we'll kind of play it by ear. So what we're going to do first is do a file, set project, go to where you have your Fred project folder and hit set, do a file, open scene if you have not already done so, and open your Fred 3, then do a file, save scene as, and let's call this Fred 4. Then I'm going to go up to the top right where workspace is, make sure it's on general, tell it to reset current. It'll reset to our basic one here, our perspective view, and then I'm going to go to quad view. And then also if you don't have the outliner here, go to window outliner. With that, now we're going to try to look at this shoulder. So last time we used the extrude tool to get to the point where we had this kind of, I guess, joint or whatever between one part of the arm and then the shoulder. So now we're going to try to make this curve here. So what I'm going to try to do first is I'm going to go to face mode up in my perspective view. So I'm going to right click on the object, go to face mode, and I'm going to try to select all of these faces that make up this little circle here. And I just want to see how smooth we're able to make this curve. Um, and let's look at the side too. Okay, so it's kind of a sphere. This flat side is the part that's the tough part. So let's do this. Let's try first. Instead of doing that, or actually, we'll do that, and I'm going to hit delete to get rid of those. Then I'm going to go ahead and make a sphere. So if you're on your modeling drop down, go to poly modeling. I'm going to make a sphere, and let's bring it up here. I like using the sphere because of the fact that it already has a nice curve to it. Then I'm going to grab my scale tool and shrink this sphere down. I want to try to get it kind of close to the size of the top of my little cylinder there. And then I'm going to rotate it some to match it up with the angle that the top line of this is going. Then I'll bring it down. I think that line matches up pretty good. And yeah, I think we can make this work. So I'm going to rotate it, get it in a nice angle so it's close to matching the top of this. Then I'm going to go over here in my side view, make sure I've got it there. Now you can tell it's got to be scaled up widthwise. So I'm going to grab my scale tool, scale it up widthwise, get it kind of closer. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to face mode. Whoops, I was too close to that one, so try it again. And this one right here, I'm just going to, that line where I'm going to join the two, I'm going to grab that first face, hit delete. That way I know that's the spot. Then I'm going to go back to object mode on this one, which is right here, the cylinder one. In my outliner, I'm going to hit H to hide it. And then that way it's out of the way while I'm working with trying to hide or delete the rest of these faces. So with this now, I'm going to right click, go to face mode. And it looks like it's this row right here in the front view. So I'm going to grab this selection tool the lasso tool and I'm going to drag, left mouse click and drag around this whole bottom section. Hit delete. Now I didn't get all of them, but I can go ahead and get those. And then I'll go ahead and select my cylinder 1 again, press H again, and just kind of look at it, see how close it looks to the actual size. It's pretty close. So then what I'll do, shift select the sphere and the cylinder, go up to mesh and tell it to combine. Once I've got that, now they're kind of a part of the same object. So then what I'll do is right click, go to vertex, and I want to join these vertices here on the edge. So I'm going to grab my selection tool, and this one match up. Then I'll go to edit mesh, merge to center. Select this one, edit mesh, merge to center. And I'm basically just going to work my way around, selecting the corresponding vertices, and I'm merging them to center. And what it does is it connects them, and when it does that, it moves them to the center point between the two. I could have also, and I'll edit mesh, you can do some other little settings and merge and tell it to merge to a specific point that you select. So that's also an option too, depending on what you're doing. And so I'm just going to go around. And if these were a little closer together, we could also use that merge setting, this one, and set a specific distance between points so that it would merge. You could select more all at once, and it would basically, if they were within that distance of each other, they would merge together. Make sure to go around there, hit each of those. And you will want to, if you're doing it the way that I'm doing it, you'll want to avoid dragging a box around them because you may actually accidentally select a point that's on the other side. And then when you do merge to center, it'll merge them all together. All right. So there is what it looks like. May need to tweak some, move some of the points around to make it look a little cleaner to what it was previously. And then we're also going to, and I'm actually going to go to edge mode, I think. And this center piece here, I'm going to select those. Let's just try to pull some of those up and see what it looks like if we can get this angle. We'll have to play around with it. It may take some work. Try one other thing. I'm going to grab my selection tool, and with all of these, I'm going to select the ones that are hanging off over the side here. Oh, should have been in face mode on this one. Oops. So I'm going to try to select these faces. Then I'll go look at it real quick. And we're going to give it a try. I don't know what it's going to do, but we'll give it a try. I'm going to grab my scale tool. I'm going to try to scale it this way. Actually didn't look too bad. So scaled towards the inside and it makes that flat edge for us in order to create that piece there. Then we'll grab these edges and in the front view, I'm going to pull them up. And I think I'll just kind of work my way around these edges. Pulling them up, kind of create the same little curve. And for here, I think I'm gonna pull the whole thing up. So I'm gonna grab that, shift click the next one to it, and then pull that up. You'll notice it did not pull everything because it didn't grab that center point. I'm gonna at least get those into place, kind of where I want them. I'm gonna rotate them a little bit, that they face the correct contour that I want. Then I'm going to go to vertex mode, grab this middle one, I'll pull it up. And so now what you'll do is kind of, for this piece anyways, if you want it to be that perfect shape, you'll want to start working on the different elements here, or vertices, edges, kind of moving them into position where you want them. So I'll leave that up to you, how close you want it to match. I'm going to play with it more once we're done with this video. Whoops. Uh, but real quick, what I'm going to do now that I've got them joined, I'm going to go up here to my poly modeling tab. And this one right here, if I hover over it, it has history. If I click that, you'll notice let me undo that real quick. You'll see that this is the elements that were combined to make our new shape. Once I click this, it clears that history, so now it's all one shape. Then I'm going to freeze the transformation so that it sets this point to its 0. And so now I've got the shoulder. And so what I'm going to go ahead and for this particular video, we'll do one more little segment, and that'll be to add this, or actually, no, we're not going to do that on this piece because it's going to be a separate bend. But we can go ahead and do this cylinder, start it up. So I'm going to call this one upper arm. And then what we'll do is once this video is over, we'll have everybody kind of clean up their shoulder. Now that we've got it started, you can go back in and start moving vertices and such. But let's go ahead and try to do this forearm. So I'll go to cylinder. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Going to bring it over here. Going to grab my scale tool, scale it proportionately. I'm going to move it into place. Rotate it a little bit. Just trying to get an idea of how it'll look. I'm going to go ahead and scale it up. And then I'm going to go to my side view, check it out in there. You'll see that it needs to rotate a little bit backwards. And again, I do all these in side and front view because if you do them in perspective, which you can, you just might rotate on the wrong axis, scale on the wrong axis, things like that. I'm just trying to scale it up to fit in both of the reference images. And then let me go to front view here. And this piece should be a little bigger at that end. So I'm going to grab my edge tool or edge selection, click on one of those edges around the top ring, double click on the one next to it, and grab my scale tool, scale from the middle to scale it up to fit that top part a little better. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and we'll do this little joint piece here. So I'm going to go to face mode, and I'm actually going to select my upper arm and hide it real quick. So I'm going to select it and hit H. Now go back here, go to face mode, select all of these. And again, we're going to make it more like the action figure, not like this little design. So the action figure just has kind of a cylinder with a ball at the end that would connect it. So we're going to press Control E to extrude, but we're not going to pull anything out. We're going to click on one of the scale boxes, and we're going to grab the middle scale feature. We're going to scale it inward to about the width of this bar there. Then I'm going to hit Control E again. I'm going to pull it up and try to get it somewhat close to the other one. And let me go ahead and select my upper arm now. Hit H to unhide it. I go to perspective a little larger so I can see it. So we'll have to move it a little bit to center it in there. But it will kind of just, we'll dead end it inside there. And I may actually, let me hide that one more time. And I'm going to grab, with these faces selected, I'm going to grab my scale tool. And I think just to hide it a little better. Oop, it's got both selected. Okay. Let me select these faces again. It may have selected both elements in your outliner, so you may have to click away and then reselect. And I'm just going to scale this thing down. Then I'll turn on the upper arm again and go back to my cylinder, go to face mode, and it's got those faces selected again. And I'm going to pull them forward a little bit. I'm kind of just trying to get them to where they look like they go into the arm. Actually, let's pull it down because we are going to put a ball joint on the end of it, I think. That way it'll have a much nicer curve to it. Okay, so kind of leave it like that for right now. And then we'll go down to the bottom here, go to face mode. Do this one real quick before we add the ball joint. So I'm going to select those faces. Let's go ahead and do Control E. Grab the scale box and then scale it in. And then side view, do Control E again, pull it down to create kind of the wrist. So we'll mess with that more when we get to the point of making the hand. But for the rest of this piece, what we're going to do this video is I'm going to select my upper arm. I'm going to hide it again, create another sphere, zoom out, bring it over, kind of line it up, scale it down. Move it into place. Gonna rotate it some, try to get it to match. May even need to rotate some this way. There we go. Really just want that one line that I've got lined up there to kind of be parallel to the top of our cylinder. All right, and then I'm going to scale it up a little more, get it close to that size. Then gonna take the cylinder again. Oh, you know what? Let's select this, go to face mode. I'm gonna select one of those faces, hit delete so I know which one it is. Then I'm gonna grab my cylinder, press H to hide it, go back to my sphere, go to face mode. And this one might be a little tougher to select them all, but we'll see. Just gonna grab my selection tool, and at least get a good chunk of them down there taken out. Make sure I didn't delete any from the other rows. I think I'm good. So these extra rows that I missed, I'm gonna go ahead and just select them. Hit delete. Now I'm gonna go to object mode. I'm gonna actually hide that sphere. Then I'm gonna choose my other one, my cylinder, press unhide. So I want to select these faces. And I'm gonna hit delete, bring back my sphere. And I'll look at them. I think they'll look okay. So I'm gonna shift select both objects, go to mesh, combine. Then I'm gonna go to vertex mode again. Select the corresponding vertices, edit mesh, merge to center, edit mesh, merge to center. I'm just gonna work my way around all the way to merge the vertices. May every now and then need to hide the torso if it's blocking your view of anything, because I think I missed a merge back there, which I'll go look in a minute. But you just keep working your way around. Mesh, merge to center. Okay, looks like I did get them all. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so now go to object mode with that. You'll see that we have these here, but again, if I just go to clear history, gets rid of it, freeze transformations, just the pivot point, call this for arm. Now if I unhide my upper arm, see how they look together. And so now if it pivots, that sphere, let me just try to rotate it and see what it looks. Oh, well, we'll mess with it. We're going to move where it pivots from, but if it pivots, that sphere should stay inside there. In the next video, we'll probably do more of the body before we tackle the hand. We'll do either the legs, waist, or head. But before the next video, you'll want to go in and move vertices around to try to clean up your shoulder so that you get a nice little curve on this side from the side view, and then it'll look a little cleaner on the front view as well. So I'm going to go in that. So I'm going to do a file save. And to change things up before we end this video, let's go ahead and I'll show you one quick way that we can touch up this arm. So what I'm going to do is hover over my front view, press space bar. And what I'm going to do is actually grab, I'm going to go into edge mode, select one of these edges here. I'm going to hold shift and double click the next one. And this should allow y'all to fix it. It's going to look weird at first, but it should allow us to fix that shoulder pretty quick. I'm going to grab my scale tool and go from the top down. You'll notice they overlap. That's fine. I'm going to go to the next row, double click the next one next to it. I'm going to work my way up. Oops. I'm going to work my way up. And again, if you click one, hold shift and double click the next one, it selects the entire loop all the way around. I'm doing that all the way up. And what it's doing is it's straightening out the curves that I have, leveling them. See if I can get this one. May have to go to your selection tool to get rid of that little gizmo. Then grab your scale again. And now I'm going to go to perspective view. So I can get this very last one here, or actually these last two. Oops. So again, you might have to select your uh, regular selection tool to be able to get a hold of them. Then go back to your scale tool and just drag that one down. And then if this last one isn't perfectly straight, you can do it as well. And basically all it does when we do that scale feature is it levels out every line or vertice that goes around. Now you'll notice it kind of cleaned it up pretty nice already. And so we don't have too much crazy stuff we got to do. There are a couple little blemishes that you'll see. And so the first one of which is, if I go to object mode and just click away, you'll notice this really hard line right there. We don't want that. And if I remember right, that is where we joined the sphere and the cylinder. So we'll get rid of that. Then, oops, I think I accidentally messed with it. Then we're going to make this side over here a little bit more of a hard flat edge because it's got this weird little bend there. So we're going to do that real quick. Some other things that you can do to make things look a little cleaner. You'll notice a couple spots here where it looks like it has a weird bend, so you can go grab those vertices, pull it out to try to make it curve a little better along this end. If I go to the top view here, or not the top view, the perspective view, you may pull some of these vertices out to just make a little bit smoother curve. This spot right here is kind of what I'm looking at. So I'm going to select some of those right along that edge. I'm going to bring them up a little bit and see if that helps with that backside a little. And so it starts to give it a much nicer curve to it just by even just straightening out those horizontal lines or edges. Um, some other things you'll probably notice too is if I go down here, I don't like this little flare right here, so I'll just go to vertex mode, drag a box around those, pull them in some. If I need to, I can go to perspective view to kind of see what it looks like. Um, maybe even pull these ones. I may just try to select this entire side here, and I'll pull it inward. And then same thing maybe with, well, front doesn't look too bad. Maybe nudge them in some. But you can do little touch-ups like that as you go around. Um, get it to where you like it. Actually, I think I went too far with that guy. So, but now let's mess with the big one real quick. So I'm going to go to object mode with this guy. And I'm going to select my torso here. I'm going to press H to hide it. Yours might already be hidden. I may have accidentally hid mine at one point and unhid it. But I want to be able to see this side. Then I'm going to go to face mode. And my goal is to select all of the faces that are on the flat edge that we created, or the flat face that we created. I'm just selecting them all by holding shift, going around in face mode. And then what I'm going to do is do Control E, grab my scale button, and then scale from the center. And so what that does is it just scales it proportionately, that extrusion towards the center here. I go to object mode, click away. Now you'll see it's a nice, clean, flat edge, kind of like our example has. Some other things that I might do here. I don't like how pointy that part is. So I'll go to vertex mode. And I can grab my scale tool, start to scale those in, maybe even pull them down a little bit. Click away, kind of see what it's starting to look like. And so I'll start cleaning that up. Then finally, the last piece is this little edge where it's got a distinct line there. I'm going to select it, go to edge mode. I'm going to shift click to select that whole edge. But then my selection tool, I'm going to hold shift to deselect these over here. That way I only have this smooth or this weird edge over here. And I'm going to go to mesh, display, soften edge. When I do that, if I go to object mode and click away, you'll see that it gets rid of that hard lined edge. So now if I take a zoom out a little bit, turn off X-ray shading, now my little character's arm is starting to really take shape. I'm going to put X-ray shading back on real quick because I noticed that it doesn't quite go up high enough over here. So I'm going to go to vertex mode. Try to check what it's doing over here. Okay, those will work. Pull those vertices up a little bit. That also lets me notice that these vertices are then going to need to come up some. I'll pull them up a little. I may actually, let's try this. I'm going to leave those back down. I'm just going to go to edge mode. I'm going to shift select this edge, hold shift, shift select this edge. I'm going to pull that whole thing up. Now you'll notice it's not bringing that middle point. I need to go to vertex mode, grab that middle one, pull it back up. But that may actually clean up that a lot nicer. There we go. So now there's a couple little blemishes that I can touch up as I go. I don't like that one point right there, so maybe I bring it down a hair. And so I just do little touch-ups like that now. But at least you will have a pretty smooth shoulder for him. And so now we've got the forearm, or upper arm, sorry, then the forearm. And this one will pivot inside of here. This one will pivot inside of the shoulder when we're ready for it, or around the shoulder. And so now you've got a nice clean arm there. We only have to do the one because we'll mirror it when we're done with the hand. All right, so now that we've got that, let's go ahead and do a file, save scene, so that it saves Fred 4. And we'll see you in the next video to add more to our character.